Good day, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about 2D animation. Okay, so welcome everybody, and I don't know if this is the first time you are here. Um, I'm seeing some familiar names. So, but all the same, we're talking about 2D animation, and I'm assuming that everyone here are the ones that are ready to learn 2D animation. So now, for my introduction, for those who are meeting me for the first time, it's my name is Stephen Annie, okay, and I'm a professional digital designer, and I specialize both in 2D and 3D static, animated, and interactive design, meaning that I design both static designs, animated ones, and also interactive ones like video games. Then, if you go to my channel, if you haven't gone to my channel, you can go to my channel and check out some of the things I have there, and you can learn a lot from there. There are videos on YouTube and other things you can be able to learn from. Then, what you need a laptop. You don't necessarily need a mouse with a scroll wheel, but you need a mouse to make it easy for you. Because if you don't, if you're using your trackpad with your laptop to work, it's going to be very difficult for you. So you won't really use a mouse like the mouse I have. Anyone that is a graphic designer, you don't have a mouse. People will assume that you're not serious. You can actually ask. Most all graphic designers, all professional graphic designers, they always use their mouse. So you need a book and a pen to take notes. No matter how much you think, one of the things I teach my students, I tell them that your brain is simply like an ocean. When you throw a stone inside an ocean, you can't find it any longer. And all you can do to be able to find that stone is you tie a rope to that stone and throw it. Whenever you need it, you just draw that rope and you get that stone. That is what writing does for you. When you write something down, the day you will need that particular information, you will know exactly where to go search for it. So I will advise I will have a dedicated notebook, even if it's 20 leaves or 40 leaves, dedicated to learning 2D animation. Is a sign of dedication on your own part. And you can't achieve anything without dedication. All right. So make sure you are going to be committed. Like what I told the 3D animation people, my goal in this class is introduce you on the things that you're going to benefit, why you should even do it, and if you have to discover that reason and write it down. If you write it down, when you feel it is becoming too hard, go back to your reason why you started. You need to find a reason. And I also encourage students, find a problem around you that you can solve with 2D animation. If you're learning 2D animation, that's the only way you can start and finish it. If you don't have a problem, something, even if it's a workplace or family, whatever you want to do, or you want to do it for fun, find something you're going to be doing. It's something that you're always around, you're going to use 2D animation to be doing. Then you can be able to stay and finish it up. Because I don't like starting with students and most of them have dropped out. You understand? I will encourage you not to do that. So that we have the discipline to commit to goals. So you have to have the discipline, because if we are sharing 1 million naira to everybody, I trust everybody will be coming. Imagine every class you come for, they will give you 1 million naira. I'm sure everybody will come. Abi, you can put in the comment. Let me know if everybody here likes money. I'm sure everybody wants that. Oh, no comments. Nobody likes money. Okay, no problem. I'm getting the idea. All right, so let's keep going. So we have understanding 2D animation. So let's talk about 2D animation. Let's try to understand it very, very well. Let me see if I can still open this in case I have someone coming in. All right. So 2D animation is simply it's a traditional style of animation where characters and objects. Okay, Jesse, you should. I was asking you a question. I didn't say you should send your account number. Don't worry. All right, let's continue. So, 3D animation is a traditional style of animation where characters and objects and backgrounds are created and moved and animated in two-dimensional environment. So like I gave those in 3D the difference. So in 2D you can just move forward and backwards. You can just move up and down, left and right. That's basically what 2D animation really is about. When you watch 2D animations, you see the illusion of 3 dimension, but they actually fake it. There's a way they do it. And it requires a lot of work. You understand? But 3D does almost everything for you. So, but that one is on a separate level. I'm going to be telling you the advantages of 2D, because 2D has its own advantages too, and why you want to go for it. there are things I want to do, I just use 2D. I won't have to go to 3D for it. So if you look at the axis, I have the y-axis, I have the x-axis. While 3D has also, you can move forward and backwards, you can move left and right, you can move up and down. All right, you can rotate, but 2D animation cannot do that. But then it also comes with its own advantage. We're going to talk about that later. So popular movies that have been made with 2D animation. How many people have watched Tom and Jerry? I don't know how those have watched Tom and Jerry. Anybody watch Tom and Jerry here? Anyone? I need interaction, except you who just turned on your this and you are sleeping. I need interaction. That's good. I need interaction from you people, so I will know that you are with me. Alright, so that's good. So Tom and Jerry is one of the most popular movies. If you look at the drawing now, you see that it's somehow flat, but then they were able to draw in such a fashion that it looks like it's still solid. We'll call it solid drawing. You get the point. It's still good, like the water. If you look at that water that he's holding in his hand, that's a bottle. You see that it looks like it's rounded. You get the point. Chikams, you want to say something? Okay, so all right. So we'll have the bottle. If you look at that, the way they drew it, it looks like it's actually three-dimensional, but it's not actually not three-dimensional. It's just 2D drawing, and there are ways to draw it. So these are things that we're going to be learning when we actually start doing our 2D animation class. We'll look at how to design, because just like in 3D animation, you're going to be learning. Welcome. In 3D animation, you're going to be learning how to do 3D, but then in 2D animation, you're going to be learning how to design things in 2D, which is one of the most important things that that can help you. So then we'll also have Looney Tunes. That's another cartoon. If you look at them, it's just flat, all right, and they just use shades, like shading, and to be able to actually create the beauty of the work, or the dimensions, to make it look more realistic. Okay, if anybody has any question, you can put in the comments. Let me get the questions from there. So we'll have techniques of creating 2D animation. So in 2D animation, each frame is drawn or created individually, and when played in sequence, all right, they create the illusion of movements. They create illusion of movement. That's what 2D is really about. So this style can be achieved by various techniques. There are two major techniques. Now, one of the key things I want us to understand is this, that when you have 2D animation, let's say for example, if you have done this, maybe when you're in school, maybe when you're younger, you have this kind of book where you draw different things. In each page you draw different things, and then when you flip it, it will look like it's animating, that thing is moving. That's the idea of animation. So you basically have a couple of pictures that you are showing to someone. Please mute yourself. If I mute yourself. Is anybody still speaking there? All right, please mute yourself. All right, so once you actually have those pictures that you have drawn, you can be able to just play it. Imagine if you have 10 pictures and you play it in 1 second, you actually see smooth movements. So if you have different let's say for example, I have myself this way, this way, this way, this way, you see that I can create the animation of myself of clapping. You get the point, by playing it in 1 second. So that's the goal, that's the idea of doing 2D animation, how animation is being created. Let me close down my this, so there will be no distraction. Okay, so then we also have the two techniques that we can be able to use. These two techniques are the techniques that we can be able to use to make animations. The first one is what we call the hand-drawn animation. So the hand-drawn animation is where you actually draw each frame by hand. Now, something like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, or Mickey Mouse, all those animations we are drawn with hands. In fact, if you actually go to the place where they make these animations, it's very, very, like, it's crazy, because they actually have, if you actually go to the traditional way it was done, they have a special kind of paper that they use in drawing, and then they will get that paper, they will scan it. When they scan it, that thing, they will not transfer it into the software where they're going to be using it. So, but the animators will now draw what we call the key poses before they will not transfer, and then the junior animators will now begin to do the filling. You get the point, that's the in-betweens. So, but these things are hand-drawn. Even if it's on a computer, they still do hand-drawn. Then the second way is what we call computer-generated imagery, where you design these things inside the computer. All right. Now, even in this computer generated imagery where software is being used instead of drawing with your hands, uh, you can also, there are people who also use digital drawing to do animation. There is also that part. Okay, if you go in online, you see a lot of them that make the. But the thing about them is that one is that if you are doing digital design with your, maybe your pencil or something like a drawing pad, you understand? If you haven't seen a drawing pad, you just tell me, and I will show you what a drawing pad looks like. So just put in the comments and I will show you. So a drawing pad is just like, it's just a pad that you can be able to actually draw, and that's, you can draw on a screen of a computer, but then it's like a pad, you understand, that you can be able to be working with. So, but the key thing here, okay, it looks something like this. Can you see it? So something like this. It depends. This one, I got this one very long time ago, very long time ago. So I wouldn't know the price it is right now. So, but at least you should budget some money for it. I think that time I bought it like about more than 10 years ago. I bought this one for like 16,000 then, like more than 10 years ago. So I don't know how much it will be by now. So you can just check it out. So you have something like this that you can be able to use to draw it, just like a pen, and there is a battery inside it, so you can be able to actually draw on it. So that's for drawing part. So for those who want to draw, but if you don't think you have the skill of drawing, what you can now go for is that you actually go and do your design, like you do your digital design inside software like Inkscape, or the software you're using also has a ability to design. So you can design, let's say, the head, and then there is a way to animate it in such a fashion that you don't have to draw the head all the time. You can use that the same head that you have created to animate the entire character. You can use the same hand you have created to animate the entire character, continuously. You get the point. But if you're using something like hand drawing, it means that each frame you draw the hand again and again. If you want to move, you draw, one is like this, one is like this, so it's very, in fact, sometimes when I see people that do that, I know that it takes time. But there are some things you want to do, you still do that. So just know that these things exist. That's the most important thing you actually need to know. So what are the software for 2D animation? 2D animation is still widely used in many forms of media, including TV shows, films, video games, and even online content. Yes. So some popular software that are used includes um, it includes, you have a Adobe Animate. I think that's one of the most popular one that most of the animators that you see on YouTube, they actually use that. So they use Adobe Animate. So another one, because Adobe Animate is like, it's you don't even have to use another software. Everything is right inside the software itself. So you can design and you can animate inside it. Then the second one is Toon Boom Harmony. All right. So you can also use OpenTunes. So OpenTunes is the one we're using, and then we'll have After Effects. But the problem with I have with After Effects is that After Effects, for you to do good designs, you have to use Illustrator to do it, and then bring it inside After Effects. In fact, After Effects wasn't really designed for 2D animation. It was designed for compositing and some kind of animation, see, some motion graphics. So, but using it for normal 2D, there is this level of 2D animation that you use it for, all right? But then it wasn't optimized. The thing that is optimized very well for 2D animation is Adobe Animate, because it's all of them that, it's Adobe that owns both software. So, but the thing about this software I'm telling you now, that all of them are paid software. The only one that is free is OpenTunes, and that's the one I'm recommending for you. And I will tell you the reason why I'm recommending that for you later. All right. Please repeat the last software you said. After Effects, Adobe After Effects. That's the last one. Okay. I said Adobe Animate, Toon Boom Harmony, OpenTunes, and Adobe After Effects. Adobe After Effects is also used for animation too. You can also use that for animation. So what are the advantages of 2D animation over 3D? So that's, if you're doing 2D animation now and you feel like you're losing. Let me tell you the reason now. The first one is easier and faster to render than 3D. If there are two people now, someone is doing 2D animation, the other person is doing 3D animation. When the 2D animation person works, he can easily render his videos. Rendering means converting that thing you have in your software into a video or a picture that someone can watch or someone can play on TikTok or on their mobile phone. That's what rendering is all about. So 2D doesn't have so much complexities, so it's easier to render it. But then if you're doing 3D, it's going to take a lot of power. In fact, there are like most of your software, some of the laptops that some people in 3D are telling me that that Blender is having issues with. If they run the open tools inside it, it's going to work smoothly. I can assure that. So it doesn't need too much requirements for you to work with it. Then the second thing is it requires less hardware resources, so you don't need a big hardware or expensive hardware. Just a moderate hardware can do it for you. Although if you get a better one, good and fine, but you can start with something very simple and it still work for you. Then the third thing is that it's easier to learn. If I show you the screen of Blender we're going to be using for 3D and show you that of the 2D animation, you see that there are more buttons and more complicated stuff in 3D than in 2D. It doesn't mean that you can't learn 3D, no. It means I'm just telling you the advantages that it has. So, but anything you commit to, like I said in the beginning, make sure you find a reason to commit. All right, have something that you're very good at. So no matter whatever, I'm going to be telling you other things that you need to know. So make sure you actually, get that into your mind too. So how to make a 2D animated film. So let's say you want to make a 2D animated film. How do you start? All right. How do you begin? So the first thing you want to do is you want to know that it has three stages. All animations have three stages: the pre-production, the production, and then the post-production. Okay, the pre-production is a preparation, while the production itself is the actual production you're going to be doing. While the post-production is when you are actually trying to modify things. You're trying to actually modify things, okay, to be able to change them and fine tune them to look even better and better. All right. So that's where post production comes in. So then let's talk about the pre production. So in pre production, the first thing you do is that when you get an idea of an animated film or video you want to be able to make sure you write a story. Okay, you write your story or your dialogue or the actions that will happen in that particular thing. That's the first thing you do. So because you want to tell someone something, you write it down, not just saying it. All right, you write it down and script it. There are templates online you can use, even if you use AI to ask, how do I write a script for animation film? It will give you a guideline that you can be able to use. But I always encourage people use AI for to guide you to do certain things, but then don't just depend on it. It will help you to use your brain so that your brain becomes stronger as you keep on exercising it. Just like a human body, if you don't exercise the human body, it becomes weaker. You have to exercise your brain in creative activities so that it becomes more creative. So the second thing here is storyboarding. So storyboarding means visualizing the thing that you have written. So you just draw simple pictures to tell the story. So if you say, oh, Obi woke up in the morning and he went out to go and fetch water. So you can put where he's, getting out from his bed, then when he's walking out of his house, and then when he's carrying the bucket on the road. Those are three pictures depicting different parts of the story. So the whole idea is that you are trying to please you should mute yourself, okay? Mute yourself so it will not be disturbing what I'm saying. So you do your storyboarding, draw those pictures. It will help you to be able to tell the story. Then we'll go into character design. So character design is when you start designing the characters, how they will actually look like, just like what we do in 3D. Just design a sketch, you have your 3D concept artist, they will come in and maybe you say, I want this character. Maybe the person that wrote the story will tell you this story of a character that is very tall and he's very muscular and he looks funny in this way or that way. That description, you will now use that description to be able to draw a character that depicts a particular idea based on the script that has been written. So those are the things you want to really, because the script writers have to describe what will be inside that thing to help the artists, the concept artists, to be able to visualize what they are trying to create. Then the fourth one is that background design. So you start designing your background. What is it going to look like? You start designing all those things. What if I'm not good at drawing? Are there any features that have characters like stick? Yeah, you can be able to do that actually. Let me get the full this thing that you said. Oh, okay. Um, what if I am not that good at drawing? Are there any features that have characters like stick notes? I think the thing you can do basically is that you can use your software. If you are using something like Pro Tools, you can design characters, very simple characters. Okay, but then when you're doing something like storyboarding, who is still making noise? Please mute yourself, please. Mute yourself, please. Chikamso, please mute yourself. All right, so now we have like I said, the storyboarding now helps you when you're doing your storyboard. You just sketch. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Just do normal sketching. Just anything. Just make sure that it's something that people can understand. All right, like there are already present characters that you can animate or edit. Not really. If you want that, you can still download characters from the internet, but this software doesn't really have that. You can actually, let me tell you here, if you're doing something like storyboard, the storyboard is not even the problem. The storyboard is just like trying to visualize what will happen. So you can just draw a stick man, just circle it. In fact, most storyboarding are done on paper. Some people do it on things like there are softwares like Pencil 2D that people use to do. It can also be used for 2D animation, but that one is drawn animation. You have to draw everything, so you can still do something like that. But the key thing is that if you really want characters, you can actually go online, download characters. But then, if there are softwares that you can be able to use to do storyboarding, probably there are, but I don't know about them. Because sometimes it's you can be able to literally do these things with your pen, with your pencil and pen, and just sketch something. It's just about sketching things because you're trying to get the story, the thing written into a sort of picture that people can be able to understand. So you do your character design to design what the character is going to look like. You have not even started designing the characters yet. The background, what is it going to look like? If it's going to be a sort of bush, what is the kind of bush? What kind of trees do you have there? What kind of floor do you have there? Those are the things. What's the sun? Is it evening or is it day? These are things you're going to be looking at. Then you now do your asset planning. So planning your and designing your props or special effects and other visual elements. So you start planning your assets that you're going to be using for your animation. So now once you're done planning everything and knowing the exact thing you're going to be creating, you're now going to the production part. The production part is now when you do the asset creation, the design, the proper design. So asset creation is all about designing your characters, designing your environment, designing anything that you'll be using for your work. Everything you're going to be using for your work. That's where you're doing your asset creation. So both your environment, both your what's it called again, the characters, both the chairs and the tables, everything you design it. So after designing that, you now go into voice recording. So voice recording is where you now start recording your voice. So the voice artist will start recording their voices for the animation. So because the voiceover is actually what drives the animation. It's actually what drives the animation. So if someone says, "Hello, how are you doing?" Okay, those are the things you want to be able to, bring into the animation, and then try to animate what is going to really happen. How are you going to depict this particular thing that the person has said? You get the point. Then the third one is layout. So that's where you start bringing all those things you have created. You start putting them in the place they're meant to be. Where will the house be? Where will the characters be? Where will the other things be? You understand? You just place things. Where will your background be? What are you going to be seeing? You start placing all those things. In fact, some people actually go to actually start working with their cameras in this place. You understand? So to start looking at camera shots and all those stuff. Sometimes, not all the time. It depends on what you're doing. So they can determine their camera shots and all those stuff. Then what that's for your layout. Then the fourth one will have keyframe animation. So the keyframe animation now, that's where you talk about the animation part now. So the animation now, because you have put everything you want now, like I told you, there are two things you're doing. There are two techniques. Either you're drawing everything. If you're in the animation where you are drawing everything, so most times you might, let's say for example now, I have an animation where I want to have a tree behind me. Now, part of my assets is that I have the tree behind me already because it's a static thing, all right? Then I will now put my character in the front where I'm going to be drawing the character. Then I can now do my keyframe animation of maybe the character. I will draw when the character is what if you're doing your hand drawn digital animation now with your drawing pad, you can have a character. Let's say for example I want a character to say do like this, you understand? So I'll have to draw when it's like this, when it's like this, and when it's like this if I'm drawing it. You get the point? But if I'm not drawing, if I'm using the other technique, which is actually the one I told you about, where you are going to be purely CGI, where you design and then you now move the up the positions and the rotation, you understand? I will just design one hand, and then in the keyframe I will now be making it to be moving. So I'll just rotate it. I'll just have to put my pivot point somewhere here and rotate the hand this way. You get the point? That's the thing I will be doing. So basically, you are doing the keyframe of animation, putting your key poses. You get the point? Now, when after you put your key poses, you now go into your in between. In between is in animation, we always have what we call the key poses. Let's say, for example, someone is walking. You have the key poses like when the walk the leg is this way, and then when the leg is this way, and when the leg is that way. But beyond that, you also have when it's this way, when it's this way, like the other in betweens that will help to make the animation more smoother. If you don't put those in between, it'll just be like someone is walking like this, and that will not look realistic. So you those are the things you're looking at. So your in betweens come in to make things easier. So whether you are animating a ball, you're animating anything, those things will actually help you to do everything that you need to do. Then you have cleanup. So cleanup is when you start refining your animation, making it look better and more beautiful. Those are the things you want to really be able to do. You start cleaning up if there are too much. If there is a movement that you don't like, you can remove that. Or if it's not realistic, you can actually work on that. So the tree will be like a background. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. I'm just giving an example. It must not necessarily be a background. So your tree can be a background. Imagine if the tree is also animated. Let's say a tree with leaves that are actually moving around. You get the point. Those ones also can be actually different. Like you have to animate that one too. So, but what I'm talking about here, when you actually have more like, excuse me, let me drink water. So, if you actually have more like sort of background that something that is not moving, so those things can actually stay in the background. Those things can actually stay in the background. So you have to actually know those ones too. So basically, then someone just join us. Excuse me. All right, so let's continue. So we'll have the next thing is the color scripting. So the color scripting is when you start planning what will your color look like. All right. So the scene, you want a night scene or a sort of black or dark tinted, blue tinted scenes. Those are the things you have to do, depending on what you're trying to convey to people. So it all depends because when you talk about color coding and color scripting, it's like using color to depict. For example, now let's say I want to make a scene of let's say bad guy that is trying to plot how to take over the world in my animation. All right. Now you won't really bring that animation and maybe it's like someone that is somehow crafty or something. When you're actually creating the environment has to be a bit something a bit scary, depending on what you're trying to actually portray. That's where the color comes in. You now start looking at your mood boards, getting references of people who have done similar works, get ideas of okay, look at how they painted this place. You get ideas from there. You get your own work, and then you begin to you say, okay, this person lives inside a cave. Okay, the cave is going to have this kind of thing around it and all those stuff, and then this is the color of the cave. You get the point. Those are things you start making your decision. So because that's what you're going to be using to determine a lot of things that you'll be doing. Then you have that's for your color scripting. So after doing that and animations and everything, you do your compositing. So compositing comes in when you want to actually begin to blend things together. Like I say, I said for those that are actually in 3D animation, I told them that it's all about layers of videos. Just bring them together. So here you're just having layers of videos. It could be the background, the character, the effects. you bring them all together. Imagine if you had rain, and that's an effect that you have put, and you want the rain to change color, or maybe it should fall like snow. You understand? You can add an effect. Then you now say, okay, I want to change the snow to red or something, or black for some reason in my animation. Composing is where you do all those things. You can be able to get each layer of animation, the layer for the background, touch, have effect on it, the layer for the character, do some effect on it, the layer for the effects, like the rain or some other kind of explosion or whatever. You work on them separately. That's what compositing is really about, bringing things together. Then you do your sound design. Your sound design, that's where you don't do your add effects. If someone is walking, you put sound that make it work, because you see in animation, if you put an animation there is no sound, no music, no nothing, you will just see someone moving but you can't feel it. So sound is what, in fact, sound drives animation. Whenever you're animating something, you have to animate with a sound. Maybe it's a music, or maybe someone speaking. Follow the sound. That's how you do your animation. If you don't have any sound, if you just walk, it won't be interesting. But if you walk and you're walking towards a music or something, or a sound, or to the sound of the footstep of somebody, you get the point. That's what makes animation more alive and more realistic. So after doing your sound design, you do your editing. That's where you now start cutting things. You move things, you combine things. If you want to have a scene, okay, you have two people maybe making calls, they are talking to themselves, and you want the scene, and that scene you want both of them to appear together, and this person is this place and this person this place talking to each other, and you can see them. Sometimes you watch movies, they do that a lot. So in that particular place, you are seeing this person and this person. That you cannot do that in animation per se, but you can bring them all together in video editing, and then someone will actually see their reaction and what they are saying and their face are all at once. Then after that, you do your final mix, balance your audio with your edits and everything, and you finally do your color grading. Color grading is all about enhancing the color, making it look the way you want it to look, and the feel you want it to feel, and that is the main thing. And then do your final render. Understand? The final mix is actually where you do your final render, and then your video is out. So those are the processes that you can follow to make a 2D animated video. Then you have your professional applications of 2D animation. Where do we apply it? We can apply it in film production. There are 2D animated movies that are being produced, you understand? And you can make those movies yourself. There are a lot of them actually out there. I think something like Spoof Animation in Lagos, they actually specialize in 2D animation mostly. I think most of their works I've seen is mainly 2D animation, unlike Orange VFX or Ant Hill. In case you don't know about 2D animated animation companies in Nigeria, there are a lot of them. There is Commotion Studio. Commotion Studio, I think they're also into some kind of films and stuff. They have Commotion Studio, there is Orange VFX, there is Ant Hill, there is Spoof Animation. There are other ones. These are the four big ones that I actually know right now. Yeah, Commotion Studio is there. So all those ones, there are other ones there. So you can actually go online and search for them, and you can watch. If you want to see videos made by animation companies in Nigeria, I will share that in the WhatsApp group. There are a lot of them actually, like films that have been made by Nigerians. Then the second one here is television programs. You can make television programs. That's another place where 2D animation is being applied. Okay. Then we also have 2D video games. So 2D video games, it's built on 2D animation, because when the characters are walking, when you're playing a video game and you have characters jumping and all those things, it's the animators that actually do those scripting of the design, all those things. And let's say, for example, you want to now do a cut screen video, and it has to be 2D animation too. 2D animation guys come in there too, because most 2D animation guys are also designers too, because you can't animate when you don't know how to design in 2D. In fact, if you're a 3D artist, it is easier for you to design things without actually having the knowledge of drawing. But if you're a 2D animation, especially if you're doing digital designs, you have to know how to design. But if you are doing the normal other one, like I told you, the one that software generates, you have your blocks and everything, and you just use one shape all through your animation. Things like Tech Waller, if you have watched Tech Waller, I even watched Tech Waller on this thing, or what's the name of this animation again? Tegwolo mostly uses that particular style. I think he also uses other styles too. So if you have watched that, that's on YouTube. You actually see his animation. That's the character. That's I don't know. I've forgotten the name of the animation company that did that. So now this fourth thing you can do is advertising. You can use it for advertising too. Okay, interested in the links to the movies or video games made by animation companies in Nigeria. Okay, no problem. I'll put that in the just put this question you just asked now in the comments on our WhatsApp group, and I will send the link there. Once I see the question, I will send it because I might not remember this one, so I will send it there. So thank you for that wonderful question. So scientific animation, that's another thing you can use it for. Just simple animations in scientific world, trying to teach people about science. You get the point. You can use 2D animation. 3D animation will do better, but 2D animation will still do something very nice and very good. And then we'll have education animations instead of just telling your kids, every day. Ajebo is the name of the course. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Ajebo. So I think they have been there for a very long time making animations, Tebola and other storylines that they actually have. Very nice stuff. So education animations, you can actually make that. You have medical animations, you can make medical animations like talking about different things about the body and whatever. And then you can also use your evangelism if you want to preach. So let's say you're a pastor here and you want to preach to people, you can be able to use an instead of you just preaching and telling people things, you can also put animation. And see, the interesting part is that when you put these animations, the animations keeps on doing the work even when you're sleeping. That's the good part. So make sure these are the professional applications of 2D animation. You can apply it. Like I said, find all this I'm doing now. I'm trying to give you a reason why you should learn it. You have to have a reason. Have that reason, write it down. Get your 40 leaves or 20 leaves. In fact, I would prefer you get 40 leaves so you'll be able to write everything you need to write. Write your reason why you are learning this 2D animation so that when your brain starts formatting, you go back to why. You get the point, and encourage yourself again. You understand? I'm not telling you it's difficult. I'm just telling you that whenever you're doing something that has to do with working or creative work, sometimes you want to give up. If it's not something like eating, if it's eating now, everybody will be coming. You get the point. But then when it comes to something that will benefit people, sometimes it could be difficult, along the line, especially when you have a lot of things to learn because you have not even done the practical. By next class, okay, by Thursday we're going to go into pride because I don't do much of I don't if I do this theory to just get your mind prepared. So but next class we are going to be doing practicals. We just jump into the class. So make sure you have downloaded your software so that as I'm working, if I make the videos, I post it or I'm doing here, you yourself will also be watching me, all right? And I will advise that you study ahead of me. In fact, in all my history of teaching animation for almost a decade now, I discovered something. The only thing that are able to follow what I'm doing are people who studied before coming to my class. If you come to my class and that's the first time you are hearing whatever I'm saying, trust me, you will not pick up. Why is that? Because animation is a professional stuff. It's something that is it's not just easy. It's not something that is you can go out on the road and just find. All right, so you really want to prepare for your even when you are even if you're a busy person, okay, make sure you just have download some videos online, watch them, just look at them even if you don't understand what they're doing, just watch. By the time you're watching, by the time you now start hearing me, in fact, I had a student that was trained recently and I said something. When I said that particular thing, he understood it exactly what I said because he had the same issue because of he studied ahead of me. So those are the things you want to do so that it's easier for you to actually be able to, work very, very well. So I have so those are the professional applications. So find your own application. So where can you work? You can work in a 2D game company doing all their 2D designs and games and animations for them for their games. You can work in an animation company that is basically 2D, but it's specifically for animation, all right, like spoof animation. You can actually go online to search for all those things. Just go online, search for animation companies in Nigeria. You will see a lot of them. There are a lot of them out there. Even the startup ones, the smaller ones, and you can also get your own. So you can also have your own animation company. Then you can also work with advertising agencies. Okay, I think we'll have 15 more minutes. Let's see what we can do. So we'll have advertising agencies. Then we'll have ICT companies, ICT schools. So you can also teach in ICT schools if you learn to do animation. That's where you can work with it. Graphic design studios, you can still elevate, because some graphic design studios, they will want animations. You can elevate them, you work with them and elevate their portfolio and what things they offer. Video editing studios, sometimes they also need 2D animation persons to add some kind of motion graphics to their work. And then you can work on YouTube to create content on YouTube, and you can be self-employed. Self-employed means that freelance. I think I meant to write a 2D animated animation there. So you freelance and you actually employ yourself. You actually work for other people. Okay. So what are the benefits of 2D animation? The first benefit is that business brand enhancement. Imagine if two people come in, one person comes with a design, a graphic design, the other person comes with animation. It's easier for you to convince you because you look more prepared, you look more like someone that has invested in his business. You get the point. So 2D animation elevates it enhances your business branding. So you imagine if you had your adverts that you're doing, those adverts are all basically 2D animations, all right? It will look more interesting, than just having some pictures, which almost everybody can have. You can use Canva and design just a picture. But if you have a complex 2D animation that tells a story, it's much more engaging. All right, it's much more engaging than just having having just a random picture that depicts whatever you're trying to sell in your business. The second thing is that it elevates your CV. I'm still giving you reasons. So you can elevate your CV if you don't have any reason. If you're finished school, whether it's secondary school or university, you can elevate your CV by having 3D animation, or if you're also learning, for those who are learning 3D animation, you have all those things as part of your portfolio and you can do them then. And I always advise my students, please don't rely just on certificates. Your certificate is your work. If you're good, if you have evidence of things you're doing, right? I will advise everybody here, when you start learning these things, post on your channel, on your WhatsApp status, post it on your even if it's terrible, don't worry about the terrible part. You just, as once you progress to a certain level, start posting, let people know that you are learning it. So that if people, yes, I'm very serious, JC, yes, let people know that you're learning something. All right. When I started making video games, the first game I made, that was the place I was working then, I made a very terrible looking game. In fact, that game, I'm so ashamed of it, but I simply just showed it to my friends, and everyone saying, this guy makes games, understand? Sometimes they will come and ask me, what's the game you're making now? When they start asking me those questions, it started giving me more motivation. I was now making more. If I knew what was happening, I was, having more games, create this animation, I will show people, you understand? So show people what you want to do. Because see, the thing about the game of these things, that if nobody knows you can do it, nobody will give you any work. That's just how it works. So even the Bible will say you can't put a light and hide it under something. You have to also make sure that people get to know that you are doing that particular thing. Very, very important. So make sure you do that. Then how to make money with 2D animation. So freelancing, all right? Offer your services online. There are a lot of online platforms. By the end of the class, I will now be telling you step by step how to market yourself. So I don't want to start teaching you technical terms. There is no need for that. Until you can now say, we are good with 2D animation. Now, how do we really make money from it? Because my goal when I work with any student, I'm trying not just to teach you 2D animation and abandon you. I want to teach you and at the same time show you, if you are very serious, how to actually start making a living out of it. You get the point? Because if you don't make a living out of it, what's the essence of learning it? What's the essence of learning, taking time to learn something very difficult or something that is very technical, and then you can make money from it? There is no point for that. So we'll be talking about those, but that will be towards the ending part of our training. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why you have to be sure that you remain. Don't wait, because I can wake up one day and decide to start teaching someone. In fact, when I teach, sometimes some people will ask a question. If you notice, I always address my questions all the time. So if you ask me any question, I'll address that question, because you see, questions is how I locate my students. Like, I know where they are. Because when you don't ask questions, I don't even know where you are. So I can be speaking from now till tomorrow. And then some people are in fact, someone might be thinking of Indomie they will eat in the next 1 hour. And then they are not even here. Physically they might be here, mentally they are somewhere else. So, but when you start asking questions, I will know this is where you're going towards. It helps me to know how to guide you. All right. Remember the person that asked me for a video on this and on those who are doing animation companies in Nigeria. Please put that in the comments and our this and I'll tell you. All right, so freelance thing, that's another thing you can do. Then you also have your content creation. You can create contents on YouTube. You can work with Patreon. You can, sell your contents to TV stations. Having a sort of there's this thing they call it franchise or syndicates. You know, all those stuff you can be able to create. Those are on professional levels where you're doing like big deals, but then you have to start from somewhere. So content creation, you can make a lot of contents and monetize it in several ways, a lot of ways. Then product-based income, where you actually sell animation assets, like you can sell characters. Like I think Jesse was asking about characters, using for storyboard. So all those things you can design your own characters, sell them. By the time you pack a character, a sort of pack of characters, different characters. In fact, there are packs where you have different head shapes, and you can just carry them and just drop them, bam, 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 and you just create a character. Those things are things that people will want to also have instead of going to go and draw them themselves. They'll just pick up and just keep dropping. So you can also create online courses. That's another way. You can sell merchandise that are based on the things you have done with animation. So imagine if Tag Waller now they have a merchandise of their clothing. If it becomes a popular brand, you see that it's one of those things that can actually be used. You get the point. Then we'll have those are things you can use to make money. Then you have employment opportunities. You can work with animation studios. You can advertise. You can work with advertising agencies. You can even work with in-house, teams. Whether you're into 2D animation or 3D animation. Character stacking, that's good. Okay, this is cool. Yeah, that's the idea. That's what Jesse is saying. Character stacking, where you have couple of characters. I hope that's what you're talking about. Something you can be able to use to actually create multiple kind of characters, change them, and make them look different each time. So other opportunities, you can still do your quick starts. In fact, crowd-funded animations, a lot of animation. In fact, I think something like Blender, they do a lot of open movies and people sponsor it. You get the point. So depending on your platform. So if you're someone that already has a platform where people believe in you, you can start doing animation from that particular platform. And trust me, there are people that will be willing to sponsor whatever you're doing to see that it works. You understand? So you just speak to them and you see people will be willing to actually support that. So grants and funding, you can actually do your grants and your funds, people coming to fund your project. Still like more like this Kickstarter on crowdfunding too. So and then you can also do your stock animation where you animate things and put it on your website. People can come and buy it or whatever. Something like if you go to something like Pixabay, you see all different animations that are made there. So there are some of them that are being sold. You understand? So those are things. There are tons of ways you can actually make money. So if you want to build a successful career in animation, the first thing you need to do build a strong portfolio. Very important. Build a strong portfolio by having your work. It's not your certificates. You might have a certificate. If you don't have a strong portfolio, nobody cares. That's how it works. If you don't produce something that people will say, okay, this is what you produced. You understand? Even if it's something not so good, at least you produce something. Let that be. So just make sure you keep on producing. Look at other people's work, try to replicate what other people have done, and then from there you start developing your confidence. All right. Is there a 2D animation software that works on iPad? There are. You understand? What I said, someone even asked about this in 3D animation. So I told the person, just keep me keep reminding me. I will find one. Something like Pencil 2D. I'm not sure it's on. You can check for Pencil 2D on iPad. I think it might be there. It's for 2D animation, but it doesn't work like Open Tunes. It has lesser things, but you have to draw almost everything. All right. So you can check for Pencil 2D. But if there are more, I've not researched that because I rarely use my phone for animation. I find it difficult to operate my phone with animation. It's so difficult because I'm so used to laptops. So yeah, I don't really know much, but I will search for that. Since people are demanding, if more people demand for that, I will try and create something or a lot around that side. So just know that is depending on my students. If you would tell me, we want to know how to make, of animations, 2D animations on phone, I will search for it. But I would advise, if you can be able to get money and invest in a laptop, is the best thing you can do for yourself. Laptops are far better than using mobile phone. Mobile phone has its own advantages, but laptops are also good too. So depend on if you can afford it. So try your best to do that. So stay up to date with industrial trends. So make sure you know the latest software for animation and the updates are around it. Make sure you're up to date on that. And then network with people. You understand? Like I told you, if people that have my contacts and I have their contacts on my WhatsApp, you always see me some from time to time. I post animation stuff, post all the tech skills that I actually teach. You get the point. I just post things. People get to know. So sometimes you see people, they will be looking for a particular, they will call you, be like, can you do this? All right, because they have been seeing that you're talking about it. In fact, I had a friend that called me from somewhere. You understand? I was like, I've been seeing you posting things on Facebook. Can you do 3D animation for me? I was like, yes, I can do 3D animation. You understand? Some of them will be like, do you want? Can you do 2D animation? This is why I want it. I'll be like, oh yes. So those are the things you want to have. So how do you download it? If you haven't downloaded your OpenTunes, there is where to download it. That's the link. I have posted it in the group. If you haven't seen that thing, make sure you go and actually get. Um, you can actually check it out. You can. Are you on the group, Jesse? Are you on the group? If you're in the group, you can see me. You can see me on WhatsApp. I'm the one. I'm posting my things there now. I'm the one that is giving you for the time and everything. So check me out there, and then that's where you can get my contact. So download and install that. And why use? I think our time is almost up. So why use OpenTunes? The first thing is free on open source. That's the first thing. So the second thing is that both your 2D designs and your animations are made in the software. You don't have to go and get another software for it. Everything is done inside. And then it allows you to use the two techniques, which is you can draw and you can design and use just one body and make it to move by using the different parts of the design. The what we call the pivot, you understand, the center of origin. You can use all those things. So you can use both the two techniques. All right. The third one is allows you to use allows you to okay, I thought about that. Allows you to use the two techniques of animation. Then the fourth one is low grade PC. Even if you don't have a very big PC, you can be able to still do that. All right. Then the fifth one is small file size. OpenTool is not heavy. If you use something like After Effects, some of them are up to like 1 gig or more. So OpenTools, I don't even think is up to 200 MB. Right? I think our time is going. Okay, 2 minutes I will have. And lastly, we have small file size, very small, and it's good for independent creators. All right, so we'll just have that, very good for independent creators. So if you are one person, you don't have so much money, you can use OpenTools to enter into the animation, and you make a lot of money from it. You understand? I have a lot of open source software that I've used. Things like Inkscape, very simple software I've used to make money. You understand? So a lot of them that you can be able to use. All right, thank you very much for listening, everybody. I will stop the recording here, and we can transfer to WhatsApp where we can ask our questions. All right. So I'm going to give you a call on WhatsApp so that those that have any question can ask their questions. All right. I'll see you on WhatsApp now.